But in this time and era, the law should be equal. It should be a throne where we can go and get justice, regardless of where you come from. And that takes me to the next point that I feel like as a country, we need to address it. Every Kenyan, I listened to a video of a lady saying that I'm on these streets because of my miserable life. I have nothing to lose. I repeatedly listened to that lady and I could feel the pain of a Kenyan who is saying, and he can clearly communicate. And if you listen to that lady, she sounds like a lady who has gone to school, educated, informed. And she's here telling us that I am on these streets because I have nothing to lose apart from my miserable life. That really touched me and drove me to the thinking of the economic dignity over the elitist growth. Because if you look at the generation now, many don't have jobs. We don't have something solid to do. And when you look at the leaders you have elected to enable this space for us to achieve them, instead of them helping us, they are telling us to go. They are sending us outside there where there is war. You see the war in Iran, you see the war in all those countries. And instead of them building enterprises here, they are sending us to those countries so that we can go there and work instead of building policies here locally, including him as the president. And I challenged him last week. I told him, if he's a man enough, let him go and be a president of Lebanon. Let him go there and be the president there. Let him serve there and let the country struggle to build as an ecosystem that is going to see us grow with an economy that is purposeful, that translates to the dinner plates of all Kenyans. Because if you look at the policies the president is pushing, most of them, he tells us, oh, the GDP has grown. He tells us the inflation has come down. But if you look at the two and you look at the translation it has on the dinner plates, Li, you realize that our objectives or our thoughts are upside down. And we really need to look at it as a country. Because if we don't address the key things that are driving the needs of the people or the wants of the people, then we realize that it's not going to get us there. Then there is another bit of the national identity that we have as a nation. You know, as Newton, my national identity cannot be fabricated. I cannot fabricate my identity. But the only thing we can do as a nation is to cultivate it. We have a flag, the Kenyan flag. We have our anthem. But we have failed to build the soul. We have failed to build the soul because we have a flag that unites us as a country. It gives us that identity, yes. We have an anthem that identifies us. But what about the soul? We have forgotten to touch on the soul that will enable us to achieve or to overcome our struggles together and belong to Kenya. So that at the end of the day, we have a nation that prioritizes the inner needs, the deeper needs of the people. Then, because of the happenings around LI, there is this issue of security. You know, security is protection. It should never be seen as an intimidation. But in Kenya, the police brutality that have happened across the country, they have ended up being seen as suppression to dissent. To dissent. You want to destroy people because they have a different opinion on whatever you're doing. And the only way the Kenyans will feel safe is by the security apparatus abiding by the constitution, not by the daily regime. You know, there is this narrative. Yesterday, I was engaging a police officer at the airport, and this police officer is telling me, Newton, we don't support this government, but we have no option. We have to support. Then I challenged him. I told him, you don't swear to defend the regime. No, you defend the state. If the people we have given the mandate, like the current regime, we have given them a 5-year contract. If they cannot achieve and execute whatever mandate we gave them, why do you as a police officer feel so much mandated to be there to defend this rogue regime in the name of supporting the state? And he laughed off and he said, we are not yet there as a country. But I told him soon and very soon, probably Kenya will be at that point where we want to see things happen, not because of a regime is there. No, we want to build a country where if something is wrong, don't wait for Kenyans to tell you to resign. Don't wait for Kenyans to tell you to step aside. Don't wait for Kenyans to tell you what to do. Please smell the coffee and leave. But right now, as we're doing, we are trying to get rid of a historical way of doing things of there's nothing they can do. I will rather die than resign. I don't know if you remember those comments that our once finance minister used to use on
that
us.
Is Kimunya.
Yes, that
and
is
maybe
Kimunya.
maybe just to engage you a little bit further before we can progress, because there are a lot of people online, Tribeless Kenyan. You know, last week we were supposed to have you on this talk, and it was to focus on police brutality, which is, in our perspective, state sanctioned. Now, there's been development on the same, but today as we speak, you talk about having a country whereby we don't have to wait to be told when you are wrong to step aside, and if not stepping aside, actually leave office so that another capable Kenyan can be able to do it. And we also talk about integrity, because that's what I'm listening from your presentation, Newton. I will also want at this juncture to just take you back memory lane. You remember this conversation, Newton?
There's no audio, Ellie.
Did we not get the audio?
No, there was no audio.
All right. I guess the heavens have again done what they do best. I don't know if it's heaven or hell, but Newton, looks like you prayed hard, because I was about to bring you to a point of reference in our previous conversation we had. So allow me to get this sorted out. And once that is done, we'll be able to continue with the conversation. For those of you who are joining in, we are looking at this country called Kenya. And as we speak tonight, we are trying to understand, how do we build a nation? How do we make sure that this nation works for all of us? So once that is sorted out, I'll be able to come back to the conversation with all of us. And let's see if this will be able now to sort out the problem. You know, sometimes technology decides to embarrass you. Let's listen in. Newton here. It's back to memory lane.
What I'm saying is, I penned down a letter to the president to just drop the finance bill. I am a strong supporter for William Ruto, I have to say, because when we were doing the campaigns, there is something that he promised us. There is something that he wanted to achieve, and we thought he was the best person. Yes, for the first 2 years, I have to say, without mincing my words, he failed us as young people in a very great extent. And I will not apologize for saying that, because that is the truth. As young people, the president has failed us.
That is where we are tonight, Tribeless Kenyan. You supported the current presidency, you supported the current government, and to some extent, you admitted that it has failed us. Where did the failure come in? Because today we are more separated and split than we were, I will believe, before we went into the 2022 elections. Tribeless Kenyan.
Thank you so much, Eli. So where the problem started is when the president got in office. He came in with a spirit of there is some behind the scenes face that we had not seen in the president. And when he was sworn in, that face started showing itself. It was like, now I'm the president. I'm the last man in command. There is no one else who is going to tell me anything. I've gotten here. Kiburi Kampanda. And he felt like, yes, this is my country. I will do whatever I want to do with it. I will transform it the way I want, not the way the people want. And yes, there was a lot of disagreement. But those disagreements were met with fear. being instilled with fear. And I can tell you up to date, all those cabinet secretaries you see in cabinet, all those permanent secretaries, there's no one there who works from his heart. No, they work because there is a parallel government that has been formed in line with away from the real government that the president heads. Yesterday I was having a conversation with someone. I was like, why can't the president lead the government he has instead of creating an alternative government? And I was so impressed to feel that we shared the same sentiments with the former CS during Kibaki's time, Kirwa, on the same. Because all these cabinet secretaries or prominent secretaries, they work based on fear. And that is why today I'm saying, as a country, we are in this state we are in because the leaders we have, they feel like instilling fear will make them rule forever. But we have come to a point where time of age, whereby that will not work anymore. And we need to have a president who aligns with the interests of the people. He does not need to wait for people to say no or to go to the streets for him to act, or for any leader to act. And again, as we talk about Kenya being in splits, Eli, Kenya is not broken because of us, the people. It is broken because of the bad political leadership that we have as a country. And the politicians play a role, myself included. But now I know better. I think better. I align better with the aspirations of many young people and of many Kenyans. Because I want a country where we are proud to be associated, where we can sit together and build our nation. We can reimagine leadership. We can redistribute the power. You don't have to have one authoritarian power so that you feel like you are the president. But we can reawaken the national purpose that we have as a people for purposes of just enabling the country to feel safe and guaranteed. And the only way we can get out of this is by making bold decisions. If we don't demand or we don't make bold decisions and pick bold alternatives, then we are going to get stuck here. Today, I was so shocked to hear the former prime minister talk about being disappointed of the Adani JKIA deal. You see, up to now, we need to question him. We need to tell him, what is this that was in Adani that was so personal to you that you feel that it did not work? Yet the president came to us and told us, because of the criminal elements of the Adani operations from the US and all those, that is the decision why he made to cancel that deal. Does the former prime minister tell us that whatever happened with Adani was so dire to his interests for him to feel the way he's feeling today? And why didn't he raise those concerns then? Why is he raising them now? Is it because he's in the deep, broad-based government that is here to frustrate many Kenyans? Or is he saying that for personal interest? So as I conclude, I believe, like, as a country, we have a chance. And the only chance we have is now. We can't wait for tomorrow. It is either they become accountable, they ensure justice is served to everyone, they ensure that they listen to the people. If they cannot do that, we will not again ask them, but we just demand for them to pave way for able leaders who are people-centered to lead us as a country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Newton. Thank you very much for sharing with us your thoughts. At one point, we thought probably you didn't want to touch on the issues we are addressing. That's why you dropped off, but I'm happy you were able to come back. You talk about the former prime minister, and it actually reminded me it is important for us to also really get to hear what this gentleman said. I mean, handsomely disappointed with those remarks. Again, we don't have the audio, so you'd forgive me. Let's move to the next conversation. Let's have you Wallace, you've been waiting.
Thank you very much, Zalendo. I hope I'm coming through clearly.
We can hear you. Proceed.
Excellent. So thank you. Yeah, I came in, at least I found a bit of Marabu, the tail end of his speech, and I was very much in agreement, well, of course, with 254. But that concept of sometimes when things begin wrong, they struggle to correct. And I was very much for his sentiment that our challenges from the beginning was the colonial system just translated into African colonialists. And the reality became that while we thought we were getting a democracy, we got a kleptocracy, beginning with the founding fathers, so to speak. I would not call them that seriously. But they looted like nobody's business. The old chiefs were given positions in government. Anyway, we just had a wrong footing. But the question is always, how do you correct? Because you can't always live in the past. You look into the past to learn from it. And I appreciate what the Gen Zs did last year, because they had like a moral awakening, a deeper awakening, to the point of saying our constitution must be followed. And of course, we know the feedback they got from the government. And it was a challenge to all the generations that were there before them. We had done our stuff, pursuing Moi and all that. And we knew the challenges then. We were always telling guys, don't vote tribally. Some of us knew, they could see even Raila's, those days when he was still a hero, we could still see he was very selfish, evidenced by, if you go to old Facebook posts, you'll find some of us used to call him Pharaoh. Remember, he used to be called Rao, but we could see the way it was really selfishness that was driving him as popular as he was, and with the influence that he had, that he could actually do so much. He really did not use leadership is influence at its core. That guy could have done stuff, but hey, that became the reality. But again, as people have shared, I've noted there's that small semantic like between country and nation. Remember, a country, the words are used interchangeably, but there's always that element. Nation becomes more about the people and the relationships and the values, and I've had people bring that to the fore. Country can be a border that was drawn. The Europeans drew our borders in the 1800s, but you see, we've split them even further because we've really been having selfish people for a long time. And Kenya, that used to be 8 provinces, was chopped into all these 47 units to give more people room to eat away, because we are, for now, we are sure it was corruption that was devolved. The original vision, when it was being sung, Majimboism will be beautiful, was sounding like we were going to go into every county will be very well developed. But corruption has been consistently across all counties, whether they belonged to the opposition or to the government. Corruption was just devolved. And the reality becomes people who are beneficiaries of a status quo will not pave way for any change. You know, paving way has this element of like, oh, I agree, I've not succeeded. Somebody else should take my place. Again, it's been brought about here. People refuse. They say they would rather resign or they'd rather die than resign. Even remember Kiplagat, I think he was in charge of TGR. He refused to resign when people were calling for him to resign. That's not how things work in Kenya. Here, people, once they're given a position, they feel like what they have been given is a private and a personal possession, which is how even our president is behaving. Like the presidency is his, like it is his to keep, and he will stay there. He must stay there as long as everybody else has been there. It's always been our turn to eat kind of mentality in the political arena. It's that Kenyans were not properly awakened to it. We were so busy focused on our ukabila. Mtu wetu ameingia. Let's put our person as though when they are there, our community will be helped. But it was a lie. We have been lying to ourselves. We know communities, even with the presidency, poverty was all across the board, bad economies. And that's the level of awakening the Gen Zs brought. By the time now they are saying they are tribeless and they are partyless. So country has that element of administrative area for a country, but now you split it now into different regions. For us, we are oversplit. We are overserved, so to speak. Imagine all the wards we have, and we are still nominating MPs, still nominating senators. It's really an issue it's like a feeding frenzy. Like the way crocodiles wait for wildebeest in the river Mara when they are crossing, and it's peak season, one of those 8 wonders of the world. That's what Kenya has been. Everybody is looking at what they can chomp away at, whether it is police, it doesn't matter. And that is the thing that needs to be transformed in this nation, because to be a nation, you must have a people that are brought together, as has been mentioned, a common values. Even if it was our flag and our anthem has values in it. It has concepts in our constitution, the 2010 constitution. It has values in it and things that we are supposed to agree and flow with together. But the reality is, if at the same time you are trying to be nationalistic, because I say Kenya has been a republic since 1963, but we've never truly been a nation. Tribalism didn't let us become a nation. We were too busy, everybody was pulling in their own direction. But if we truly want to be nationalistic, we have to bring integrity and character to the fore. And that is what the Constitution with Chapter 6 was supposed to have compelled us to start embracing. But no sooner had we promulgated it in 2010, 2013, ICC suspects were installed again by stance. Most of our elections, I've said it many times in spaces, have not really been won because of votes. They've been tampered with. That is why numbers have always been funny, okay, since 2007. But the reality here becomes, if we want nationhood, because the country is split, not only administratively, all these small pieces, and people are trying to say, I govern this small thing, you must call me now His Excellency, and I'm a governor, that kind of stuff. That is the challenge we are having. Nationhood is about unity, it's about values, it's about integrity. We have an integrity crisis, which leads, of course, to a character crisis. You give Kenyans any position, they start misusing it. That policeman that shot the hawker, the vendor, I mean, that's a problem with Kenya. Kenya, even you can make somebody just a soldier in a building and he starts harassing people as they come in. Unaenda kuona nani? What do you want? It's like Kenyans have this mentality because of being modeled from the Jomo Kenyattas, that any position of power you get, or you start asking yourself, how can I make this thing serve my pocket, serve my interests? What can I do with it? And that's what needs to break in this country. And so that pushback you're calling is true. There are times when it's a bully pushing you with murder, you have to push back harder, you have to be more aggressive. In a way, you end up in a fight. Bullies like when you just become subservient because they are doing whatever you want whenever they threaten you or hit you or kill some of you. That's the way Mongikis and all these funny outfits operate. Kill a few very brutally, everybody else gets afraid and doesn't question. But they have met now a generation that is no longer afraid to die. When you hear young people saying, I have nothing to live for anymore, then things have gotten to a very extreme level, because they are actually speaking the truth. The government is trying to export them to foreign countries for foreign jobs, and you do not be shocked to even find by the time he's exporting people, he's somewhere there in the deal. He has a company that is making money from it. But nationhood just needs people to resolve that lack of integrity has not served us. We can't afford tribalistic thinking anymore, of which the young people are pulling us in that direction. But that we need to be a citizenry that is seriously engaging with the constitution that we do have, because lack of integrity is always walking away from that constitution. If we are not engaging in public participation properly, we need to take those powers back, we the people, by the constitution's permission. But and then from there now, we enforce the integrity of the constitution and the values of our flags on all these people that we are saying are our leaders, but we call them dealers, So that's what makes a nation, is the values, is the integrity, the things people have mentioned. the commitment to engage in your governance, being governed, especially as per our constitution. Kenyans were too used. Zamani, if you would watch TV, it would always be ningependa serikali, ningependa serikali. People were used to being done for. They were waiting for the government to do. But the 2010 constitution, it's that the majority didn't read it. Si walisema baba amesoma, baki amesoma. That was a problem for us as Kenyans. We were not engaging. It's now we are waking up and realizing, hey, public participation must be done properly for it to be a valid framework for laws to be passed. For things like Adali can't be sold without our approval as Kenyans. That's why we resisted. So we are awakening. There's still hope. And it's now really to say we really actually in this mess, the silver lining in this ugly cloud that we are going through is that we can become a nation if we so choose. We do have that opportunity now. The war right now is Wananchi versus Wananchi. I don't think if Kenya exploded, it will not be 207 tribe. It will be people looking for, unfortunately, the political elite, because that's where the anger is focused right now. But we do not want to transform this country with that kind of rage. We want it to be by ballot. We want it to be peaceful. But that change can actually begin with if people say, let's come up with a system to start controlling our MCA, our MP, going up. And all of you have had that system. We've shared it before here many a time. So I think let me pause at that because there are a lot of guys in the space. But there's hope for Kenya still. Let's become a nation. Let's use our anthem. That's why you've been seeing us pushing and saying, if we can teach Kenyans to sing the anthem together, what will happen is as we come out for every protest, we come out of patriotism, not out of rage. As much as the government is always giving us things to be mad about, we can transform this revolution by making it more about patriotism and nationhood than rage. Thank you very much, Mzalendo Eli. I land.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That is our good friend Wallace. And I like towards the end of your submission, you talk about we have to transform this country out of patriotism rather than what we'll refer to as rage. And there have been several days of rage that have been marked. I don't know who among of you is planning to be part and parcel of that rage. There are 7 days of rage. That said, I was looking through the socials and, as we advance towards what many of us will call the memorable June 25th, there are memories that are sad and a reality check of where we've come from. Allow me to read this. 20th June 2024, when I stepped onto the streets that day, I was just a girl determined not to be arrested again. But even more determined to be heard, I stood alongside other Kenyans equally, if not more, frustrated, angry, and fed up. I didn't know that my small act of defiance, my shrill, unwavering voice, would come to symbolize something much bigger. Flag in hand, heart on fire, I was clear. I am not going anywhere. I am here for Kenya. I am here for your rights. What I didn't know either was that by evening, we would learn the first martyr of the Reject Finance Bill protests. And the post continues. This is courtesy of Shakira Wafula, because I thought I should just read it out as it is, in order for us to continue driving this talk of understanding where we are coming from when we say the country is split. There are people who honestly believe this country has a potential to do better for all of us. There are people who believe this country has the potential to make them rich. And there are people who believe we don't have a country here. You've known that phrase. Ras G, on the other hand, believes we have done enough talking and quoting the Constitution to William Ruto. If you want power, you must take it. Or, in his own words, shut up. Ruto took power by not using the rules of the game. Use the same route to get him, switch that power from him. But these other soft ways remains a talk show. That's what we are having tonight. Ras G, the mic is yours.
Thank you, my friend Eli. Thank you. I never expected that you'll read that before I did my submission. And first of all, I want to react on what my friend Newton has talked. And I remember Newton very well campaigning for this particular regime and many others. And I usually, I'm not saying this because I want to attack anybody, but from where I sit, I think we did our part that time when we really cautioned people of our age. I know we were young, we are growing older by time. I'm 30 na nilikuwepo wakati wakina Newton wakipigia debe hii serikali. And the reason why I wrote that early is because after walking through the drainage of politics from a very young boy at 17 and interacting with these politicians, and that is where I have arrived as a person, because having observed Ruto, how he has walked all the way to power. Power is very different from what sisi saa zingine si huongea. I'm saying this because the political class, even as currently constituted, they are very much organized. After June last year, because what we did June last year, we threatened the political kingdom. It doesn't matter if it was William Ruto, Raila Odinga, but the political kingdom with its apparatus was shaken by a new constituency called the GNZ and the clamor for change. So they did not take that lightly. Na kuanzia hapo mambo yalibadilika. I know we have a constitution. I'm one of the young people who believe in the spirit of the constitution, but
I'm curious, Rasji, are you also opening up your constitution? Because this is the first time I hear actually flip of pages as people make submission. You came prepared.
Okay, no.
Go
I was
ahead.
just checking on the buffet of happenings that have taken place and have gone against the very document. I'm not saying that the constitution is a bad thing. The constitution is what's supposed to govern the land. Supposed to govern the land. But are the people who are leading us today really focused on the constitution? The answer is no. When we have an active court case like telling you no, do not gazette the IBC, and it's official until this is determined, and then you go ahead and do that in the middle of storms like forceful disappearance of persons, abduction, police brutality, Albert killing, all that. You disregard all that. You go ahead, sail the finance through in the middle of those storms. And then now we as a country tunarudi tu pale tunaanza tena story. We go through Western Texas through a lecture where this happened in 1970. What we came to this, we came to that. No. I think from a point of frustration from where I am, and what we did on because for me, earlier, I'll be very, very, very open. There's something we tried this Tuesday, and we did it kwa sababu tulitaka kujaribu hawa wanasiasa huwa wanafeel aje. When we said we were going for maandamano on Tuesday, and it became clear that one, Sakaja and other politicians, because after them doing a rally in Western, there were threats already that had been issued to the public, and those people who had said they will go for demos over Albert issue. And then we had somebody in the name of a PA of a president, an office that even this country has not even questioned. We are seeing for the first time a very powerful PA issuing ultimatums, issuing threats to the public, and this goes unchallenged and stuff. So from where we sat, we said now the political class has decided to threaten na watajipanga. We know what they mean by watajipanga. Sakaja enda uhakikishe Nairobi hakujafanyika. So on our other part, we also went and jipangad. Whatever transpired on Tuesday, I am very sure that we sent a message to the political class. They can organize, and that is what has happened early. As we talk today and plan to get Ruto out of office, Ruto has unconstitutionally also planned himself. You can imagine the kind of violence that was witnessed in Nairobi and those goons. If he unleashes that kind of violence when in 2027, what stops the police that we had gone to the street to castigate over Albert murder? What stops the police that right now he has organized very well? He knows his win. Even the IG, you can see very clueless. You have an IG who is in charge of a police service, but in real sense is like a puppet. There are people in charge. And when I say people in charge, you can see there were very deliberate efforts to make sure that Lagat is still covered to this very, very, very day. There's something you want to ask?
Rasji.
Okay.
Yes, so that we don't go to north of Sahara, south of Limpopo, and back to Timbuktu. I would love to ask you, what will make this country a nation? As it is, the splits are evident. Give me your point on that, and then we can allow also other speakers. Otherwise, definitely we will do the much talking you had hinted on us stopping to do.
Very good, Eli. Let me just go direct to what I meant. When all the forces of nature conspired against William Ruto when he lost favor with the regime then, he employed very many tactics to make sure that at the end of the day, it is power. And I can tell you at the end of the day, what we need is power. And this power, we can only get it when we are very much organized. As things stand today, there are people, we are so much disorganized. In fact, we are so much disorganized, not even like last year on June. On June last year, we were organized a bit. We needed some mentoring, 1, 2, 3. Kuna vitu kidogo tulikuwa tumebakisha. But right now, as things...
Why do you think we are disorganized? And by we, who are you referring to as we?
Say we, I refer to the whole set of the revolution. The revolution right now has so many faces. It has so many parts. And these parts, they are parts that tend to pretend to speak for the regime, but in real sense, they are not speaking for the regime. Also, in the movement, there is infiltration. Kuna watu hata wanakuja. Wanatoka ule mrengo wanakuambia tumetoka kwa serikali, tumerudi. Tumekuja kuwasikiza. But in real sense, they are back. They are back in the wamekuja kutafuta notes warudishe the other side. So in real sense, Eli, we are not. And what I was saying, using what happened on Tuesday, was we have to go an extra mile. An extra mile means because the political class is planning, like they have used, let me just use violence. They have used violence, and they want to use goons. They want to organize themselves, and using goons, they want, because they know the constitution will at some point reprimand them, but kwa sababu wanajua wanaweza tumia polisi na watu wengine, my suggestion was, as a movement, first of all, we need a buffer. We need to organize our security. Our security means sisi wenyewe hata kama tutaamua kuform what we call people defense force. People defense force means
That is where you land. Thank you.
That's why.
That's where you land. Yes, that's where you land. Just for purposes of clarity, the opinions shared with our speakers do not represent those of Mizani 254.
Okay.
Neither do they represent Court FM and its affiliate organizations. That said, thank you, Rasji, for your submission. You're saying there's need to create a buffer, but we're still not able to identify what then will make a nation. Weston, I know you've been waiting. I will ask you and your permission to allow me to give D. Nyakwar, if I didn't get that name wrong. That is D. Nyakwar Okumu to make her submission. And then we can shift back to you. Welcome to the talk, D. We are really in between. There are people who believe this country, it is time to have a reset. There are people who believe if the police kill us, then we take the law into our hands and decide aura for aura. D, what's your take on the country that is in splits and what should make a nation? The mic is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Eli, to all the panelists. Thank you for the opportunity and for the platform. I personally agree with Rasji, the previous submissions about the split. Apparently, I actually experienced the same yesterday. On Wednesday, there was a lot of discussion about the Thursday. We were supposed to come out yesterday, but unfortunately, I'm the only person who was in the streets yesterday in Nairobi. So you can imagine how painful it is. So now I waited for quite some time.
It is not painful. Congratulations. You walk the tough walk. So well done, D. We celebrate you.
So yesterday I was actually on the streets, and this is something that we discussed here in several spaces. I was actually in several spaces sampling about Thursday, but unfortunately people didn't turn up. Some of the people went to Milimani for the Rex's case, and this is something I learned the very morning. So again, I came to realize that there are some people who have some self-interest into this matter. The movement is split. There are some new faces that are really pushing for it. There are people who are passionate about getting there, though there are some people who are there for money and for their selfish interest gains. So you see, once this one has actually robbed the movement, there is no way we can move forward as a team. Because even that yesterday, I had to wait. We have several groups. I'm actually in almost 7 groups, movements about Mandamano and everything and how to change the political dynamics in this country. I kept on asking, where are the people and what are the plans? When it's got to 4 p.m., around 3 p.m., is when the team that was in Milimani got to town. We had a little talk. We had a group there. We talked some 1, 2, 3. There was Bunge that was supposed to come up. And, things just happen. People just wake up and we are like, we are doing this and we don't execute. So this is what I'm saying. See, actually, the people, we don't have a plan. We don't actually have a plan. We should be coming up with a plan. We strategize. We highlight our plans one by one, even if there are 10. How are we going to execute it? And at what time? On which date? This waking up and speaking here on space that, tomorrow we are coming out, then when it gets to that day, no one is coming out. We are saying today or maybe next week we are going to do ABCD. Then when it gets to that day, only 20% is coming out. It is really bad. I really felt so bad. And I felt like, should I just give up? Because it's not only me who's suffering in this country. Actually, everyone is suffering. But why can't we just hold on to integrity and loyalty? We walk this journey together without involving funds and money and support and everything. Because everyone is suffering. Let us remove our selfish, your greed. We are fighting these politicians because of greed. But you find that even some of us here are in these movements because of money. It is so disappointing. Some of us are not interested in money and we are really pushing so hard. May don't care. Even if I don't have fare to come to town, I'll wake up by 5 a.m. I walk up to town because we know we are fighting for a better Kenya tomorrow. We are pushing to get to the milk and honey.
When you talk about money, I love discussing money talks so that where is this money coming from? Because we are simply trying to say the country is divided and we want to make a one common country. What money are you talking about? And who is financing this thing you're saying people are interested in for the money?
When I talk about money, like for instance, the other day, this guy Boniface Eli Joshua, I don't know the real name because a lot of names came out of that. People are talking about he's being admitted and now the father is there. There are some people who have already talking about contribution, you know. Yani mtu tu akipata shida, it is all about contribution now. There are some people who are running to that person who is bereaved. We need to contribute, you know. Instead of even giving it time, even this Baba Albert, all of a sudden people came out with pay bills, people were fighting, you know. These are things that is really dividing the movement. I don't know who's funding them, or rather I don't know who is, because there are some of us who are seeing it like people are just interested in funds, you know. We should be committed to the cause, because money will come later for justice. Because even with money or not, Albert will be buried. Kenyans can contribute one for each.
Do you have the opinion that this money does not end in the intended people's hands? Because to the best of my knowledge, and I am not ruling out anything, just help me understand. To the best of my knowledge, the money that is being collected is sent to the families that have been facing the difficult moments, either as bereavement and support for any other reasons that will arise because of loss or whatever. Why are you of the opinion that this should not be the case as we speak? And I'm asking because last week we actually discussed about the issue of fundraise when disaster happens. D, why do you think people shouldn't be raising money for families that have faced such challenges, especially when it comes to police brutality and sudden deaths like such?
Actually, it's like you got me wrong. I've not said that we are not supposed to contribute. We are supposed to support. But the way people are taking it, I'm actually speaking from a point of how do you call it? From a point of experience. Like yesterday, there are some people on the ground who are complaining that there's a group that is being funded. Maybe they get some percentage from that contribution. You see, though me, I don't have any clarity about it, but I heard with my own ears yesterday. I might not mention it here, but it is something that is happening on the ground. People are saying there's a group that are being funded to come for those mandamanos. There are people that are being paid for raising funds. You see, there's a percentage they get out of it. So you see, this is what is killing the movement, because some of us, this money is not getting to us. Na mtu akisikia, kumbe kuna watu wanalipwa na sisi tunakuja na jasho yetu. Let us stay back and let the people who are being paid to get to the streets. That's all I know, but I don't know much about the money thing. And I'm not even interested in raising a pay bill or anything. I don't want to be associated with any Kenyan money. Let us get out and I'll be on the streets on Monday to Wednesday. I'll be there. I don't want anyone to fund me. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dee. I appreciate it.
Help my...
Wait. No, you're not helping nobody. She was very eloquent.
Just a minute.
She was very eloquent. She was very eloquent. She made her point. You will wait.
Very okay.
You will wait.
Today, so...
It's okay. You will wait. You will wait.
A minute on the clarification you're funding.
Rasji, you'll wait because I get the passion. Kindly allow me to also give others an opportunity to contribute, because I am not really pursuing the aspect of movement. And if there's any movement I'm pursuing, is the movement called Kenya. Why are we at a junction point whereby there are those going to left and others to right, instead of having a common point of focus as a country? Why am I feeling, and probably it's my own personal feeling, that tonight, more than ever, the country seems to be polarized. We do not have common agendas. We do not have common goals. We have politicians who feel they must do anything and everything within their power to secure their status quo. We have young Kenyans who believe the old guard have let them down. In fact, last week I saw a comment where somebody said, "We are not our mothers. We will not tolerate you." And I'm thinking, where did you get all this energy to think your mothers were worse than they are? Probably somebody stepped on them, on their rights. But within that space, they were actually able to defend themselves enough to allow you to live. But maybe I'm just confused about the whole sense. And that's why I welcome you to the conversation. And I hope we can progress as we look at what makes a nation. Weston, thank you for holding and allowing us to speak to you tonight. We are a split country. It is evident. Everybody feels like, mimi naenda huku na hii Kenya yangu. At one point we said Kenya uzwe, kila mtu ende na kipande yake. I hope you guys are ready to go to Iran or Israel. Weston, the mic is yours, unmute and proceed.
Eli, thank you so much. Greetings to everyone. Eli, I would like you to listen to me carefully because I speak and some people elect to misunderstand me, which is okay because no matter how well you explain yourself, someone will misunderstand you. Samora Machel, the former Mozambican president and founding father, is on record as having said that for the nation to survive, the tribe must die. He didn't mean that we must stop identifying with our ethnic groups, but to build a viable country, a modern state, you must help your people, if you're a president, to go beyond.
Did we lose Weston? Am I the only one who is experiencing a Western disconnection? And he was about to tell us something about history, which Rasji does not enjoy. I think Weston, Rasji made his prayers heard. I'm hoping you can be able to come back and join us and really tell us what Samora Machel said about a nation. The mic is yours, Weston. If you can hear me, kindly proceed.
Must help your people, if you're a president, to go beyond identifying along ethnic lines. And that's work, because ethnic groups are social constructs. You're not biologically born a Yoruba, a Zulu, a Luo, or a Somali. You're socialized in those ethnic groups. And because of socialization, you could be socialized badly, to be bigoted, to be prejudiced, to be hateful. Or you could be socialized to reach out to other people, accommodate them, and form a cohesive country. So we are not a nation in Kenya. We are not a nation. Those ethnic groups are what are called nations. And when that ethnic group has got a state, then you've got a nation state. So Lesotho, that tiny country in the belly of South Africa, is a nation state because it's made up of Basotho people. Swaziland, that other country in the neighborhood of South Africa, is a nation state. It's made up of Swati people. Denmark is a nation state made up of Danes. Same thing with Norway, Finland. So it's easier when you're a leader of those countries to progress because you're presiding over people who have got same language, same religion in most cases, same culture in most cases, same history. So there are things that bind them. So it's easier to build on that and progress in terms of development, because very few fissures. As opposed to Kenya, if you're a president of Kenya, your work is cut out for you. As opposed to the Prime Minister of Lesotho or a Prime Minister of Norway, your work is cut out for you. Why? Because Kenya is a multi-nation state made up of many nations. And depending on your choices as a leader, these people can fight non-stop over power, over resources, over prejudice. You circumcise, these ones don't circumcise. That becomes an issue. You know, mundane things like those become an issue, and political issues. You get, you practice this is your culture, this is the other thing. Those things become high octane issues if you are a leader and you overlook those things. So we are not split now, Eli. We've been split for as long as we've been independent. It's only that our differences sometimes, you know, they become latent. And then there's like a calm. At other times, they come to the fore. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean if a plant, which when there is a drought, it withers away and then it goes underground, it stores food there, and then it's going to sprout when the rains come. Don't conclude that it's dead. It's not dead. It's just survival. This rhizome kind of plant is there. When the rains come, it will sprout and you'll see a bush there. So it's not like our differences disappear. They're usually there. But at any stage, it depends on how our politics pans out. When the politics is so high octane, the way it is now, they come to the fore viciously. Well, Rafsji told you that I take you to history. It's for a reason. Because if you want to run away from history, as even a person, at a personal level, it's tantamount to running away from your shadow. I don't know how feasible that is. If you want to run away from history as a country, it's the same thing. Tantamount to trying to run away from your shadow. I don't know how feasible that is. Eli, we have been trying to run away from our shadow as a country called Kenya. But it's not possible. It's not possible. Because what happened to Agenda 4 of the mediation that was presided over in the aftermath of 2007, 2008 post-election violence? What happened to that agenda, which was about long-term issues to ensure stability in Kenya? Land-related issues, historical injustices, Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission came up, institutional, constitutional, legal reforms. Those things were suggested. If you want to ensure stability going forward, you have to put these things in place. What did the political elite do? They shared power and forgot about Agenda 4. But those things cannot disappear. It's like your shadow. It's not going to go away. When the sun comes, your shadow will pop up. It will pop up. If you don't like it, what can you do? What can you do? If you don't like it, can you outrun it? So, Eli, I keep saying, it's about our history, nothing else. These things, you see, there are manifestations of things we have not addressed in our history. And the political elite don't want, they have no political will to do that. And Eli, I can put it to you. If your political elite is fractured, those fractures, those fissures, those cracks percolate in the rest of the society. Why? Because we are a multi-nation society. If Raila Odinga is brutalized at the national level, his core ethnics will see that as an extension of their brutalization. And it's not only about Kenya. It's the same thing all over. It's all over. Our person is being brutalized. So, as a community, we're at the receiving end of this regime. This regime is our enemy. Get it clearly. So you don't wish national consciousness, you work for it. The same way, if you have got a car, you have to service it for it to run and give you a good service. The same way you've got to, repair your house from time to time. You can't abandon it. It's the same way a nation state made up of many nations has to be serviced consistently. And servicing is about addressing those historical injustices and fighting justice for people. Because even Singapore is made up of 3 major nations: Chinese, Indians, and Malay. They don't ignore that. So when you call yourself tribeless, no, you're not helping Kenya. Say the ethnic group that you belong to, that's part of your identity. But live in a country where you can transcend your ethnic affiliation and have a sense of national consciousness. And that comes about depending on the decisions and policies that the political elite implement. It's not by chance. In Kenya, we think it's by chance that you can make a political statement, address a baraza, and people immediately will become one thing. There will not be one thing, Eli. There will not be one thing. So Eli, as I learned, I'm saying William Ruto and his top government people had a retreat, I think 2-day retreat. I listened to him. There was nothing about national consciousness. It was not there. They talk about the economy, a whole host of things. But this national consciousness is the software. This is the DNA of any given country. If you don't address it, anything else you're doing is built on quicksand. It's not going to stand. It will collapse. How will it collapse? Because of divisive politics. People contesting over power. Eli, let me land and end with this. What have our peer countries done in Africa? What have they done? Because we are not exceptional with these problems we have. Many other African countries have these problems because of the arbitrariness of the colonial borders. Nigeria, that came to democracy in 1999, Nigeria, very chaotic the way we are. They've got an unwritten rule that the presidency must rotate between the South and North, 2 major geopolitical zones. That's not in their constitution. It's an unwritten rule, part of their tradition. If today a president is from the South, will be succeeded by one from the North, or they alternate like that. Tanzania also alternates like that. If today a president comes from the mainland, the next president will be from the islands, and they alternate like that. South Africa, which also came into democracy just around the same time we did, 2 presidents from the same ethnic groups. The following president was from Sutu. Next president was Zulu. The other president who is there now is Venda, one of the smallest ethnic groups in that country. Eli, in Kenya, we're opposed to this kind of thing. We come up with something called merit, competence. But why are those people not invoking those things? Because they know it's difficult to build a stable democracy where there are multiple ethnic groups. You can't ignore anybody. But in Kenya, we want to ignore so that we say we can have presidents from the same ethnic groups forever, as long as they are competent. That's the argument. Nobody does that. We are the only ones who do that. But there are problems why we do that. Aren't there problems? So when you say you're marching to State House, somebody else will tell you other people will march to protect State House. Are you not listening to that? What does that mean? It means if you think you can't identify with this presidency, we can identify with it. Because of exclusion in the past, historical injustices, impunity, and refusal to implement programs that have been there in the past, Ndungu Land Report, and a whole host of things. But we think, Eli, that we can outrun this history, and we wake up tomorrow, find that we're united, kumbaya, as one country. That's delusional. And that's why we are marching lemming like towards an election that is likely to explode in the face of all of us. But we're not seeing it. It's likely to explode in our faces, but we're not seeing it. We're saying, no, we're different from Congo. We're not South Sudan. We're not like Ethiopia. No, we're like those countries. I yield.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Okay. I never thought that would be the turn of events here. But for all of you who are questioning why Western loves to refer to history and understanding of how politics work, now you know why he thinks that way. You're welcome to your own opinion of the same subject as we look at a country in splits and what makes a nation. Of course, you have many nations within Kenya today as we speak, from the haves and the haves not, from those who believe they come from a superior community and another inferior community. But we still move on regardless. Japonji, before I allow you to submit, I know a lot of you have been waiting. Kindly be patient. We'll give you an opportunity. Professor Ogola, thank you for joining. Redeemed, as always, we are glad you're here. My good friend Obed is back. And we elevated 254 for life to become our co-host of the night. He was waiting. Anashanga hana kazi. Tumempatia yeye kazi. Sababu limwangalia nakaa kama rafiki yangu namna hii. Kapea kazi. Ama namna gani? Thank you very much. Japonji, before I allow you to submit, I have had enough times of accepting you as a common follower or following. How many accounts do you have? Tell us that. And then number two, do you follow and get people to unfollow you immediately? I don't understand because it remains the same account, but I have to follow you every night you come to the space. That is a side note that we need to fix. Japonji, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Eli, for the mic, 254 and Mizani and all the speakers. Eli, actually, I've been very, very active in social media in X. I have several accounts for several. I used to write online and all other businesses. So I've lost some accounts to the real Elon, they get suspended. I appeal. Some of them come after 6 months, 5 months, and I go back to them. So it's nothing new. I get suspended for spamming or for, for as the Redemptor would say it, like putting truth to power, So I'm one of those who fight with government bloggers. I do my part. So I'm a digital activist. That's what I do. I counter, I do fact check on those government bloggers. So most of them, they have their own group. They report my account. I get suspended for some time. So by the time the account comes back, I go back to my old accounts. I hope
by the
I've
time the
answered you.
account comes back, you're back on Mizani's basis.
Yes,
and then
yes,
I'm
yes.
like,
Then
I thought
again,
I followed you last week.
Yeah, so I that's how I operate. So they are not able, and I like that. You see, that's how we should operate also, So they're not able to catch up with me, They're like, this guy also. Anyway, Eli, it's a very heated debate here. Country in splits, so what makes a nation? So I want to start by saying that we are all here because we are united by grief, we Kenyans are mostly united by grief. We are reactive, like we are united by an occurrence. And once that grief is over or sorted, we find ourselves in a quagmire, confused, and in a state of lack of fundamental, clear objectives. That is what happens. We want to go to the street for Albert Ojwang and all that. We demand for his resignation. He steps aside, and that becomes like